Hey, what's up, Liron here, and in this video I'm going to show you and prove to you why having a dirty palette is perfectly okay. I've been criticized for not cleaning my palette, never cleaning my palette, barely cleaning my palette for a long time now, and there are a lot of benefits to keeping your palette like this dirty, which I'm gonna get into. So let's take it to the table. I'm gonna explain exactly what I mean by that. So again, let me show you why I'm perfectly fine with having this dirty, messy palette and why it can actually be very beneficial. So first I want to talk to you about varying the grays. So I usually don't, again, clean up the palette. I just leave it as it is because I find that the grays that are created naturally by the colors here are actually really good and useful. Okay, so if I just grab a bit of everything I have here, you see you get this very nice and natural gray color, which I love. So, and I'm just gonna paint these two small kind of subjects in the scenes, just for, you know, for our own fun. But basically, you see, what I do is, and I love doing it in many of my exercises, many of my paintings, is I'm gonna paint the subject using mostly grays. But then what I like to do is every once in a while I'm going to vary it. So I'm going to grab a bit of pure blue and I'm just going to inject that into the gray mix that I have. You see, like that. Okay, and this is how you can heavily rely on what you have on the palette and actually create beautiful stuff with it and save color, because as soon as you clean it up you basically wasted it. And again, sometimes you may need a perfectly clean palette, and if you don't like, you know, having colors that aren't perfectly bright, that's fine, but that's definitely not me. So as long as those things aren't what matters most to you, you can really save up a lot of materials this way, and just really enjoy using the grays. And I think learning to appreciate the grays is a big deal. I think it really helped me improve my paintings. And then I'm gonna vary them with a bit of a purer color. So in this case we have red. Okay, and then I'm gonna let this red flow back here, and maybe come back to my gray again and move this paint around here and around these shadows. And you see how you get a nice little gray, dominant gray color, but you get a nice touch of, for example, let's yellow it up a bit. You get a nice little variety of all sorts of different grays here. And I find that paintings that have this beautiful balance to them tend to look a little more natural. When you go with just pure red here, pure blue there, sometimes it loses some of its sense of reality. Not realism necessarily, but sense of reality in a way. And if that's the look you love, and you know, I love highly saturated, exaggerated color paintings. I love them. So I'm not bashing against it if that's the look you love. But if you are trying to get a bit more of a balanced look, I find that relying on grays this way is a very useful method, trick, whatever you want to call it, you see? So yeah, I'm just going to add a bit of a background to this elephant, just so that we can get some of it to show, to see the shape of the outline. And here I'll go with a bit even more gray and messy color. Okay, so a little like that. And just make the elephant's shape pop a bit. You know, we don't need much here. Some water, help this paint move. And hopefully you get a nice result. So this is about varying the grays. So you are using a gray mix, but you're varying it using other colors, and I find that this looks natural and beautiful, and it looks a little more professional in my opinion than the paintings are. It's like they were drawn using, you know, kids markers and very saturated, which I'm fine with. If that's what you love, go for it. I'm just giving you my personal opinion. Feel free to disagree, and that's perfectly fine. Now I want to show you something else. So let's say I have this mixture here, okay, and it's pretty much gray. There is this idea that people have, if the palette isn't perfectly clean, they won't be able to produce a pure color. And that's just incorrect. So I'm going to show you, for example, I have burnt sienna here. I'm going to overpower the mix here. So I'm just going to add more and more burnt sienna, okay? And I already have some water on the palette, which is great. And you see at some point, I get this gray color to be burnt sienna. So it's not, you know, people think it's doomed if the palette is dirty. No, it's not. You can just overpower whatever is there. And I love the chance of starting from gray and moving towards a more saturated color. I love that too. Sometimes I will go for very sunlit paintings, and then yeah, sure, I love to start with pure yellow. That's fine, but even pure yellow, like look at this. I'm adding yellow to the mix. That's it. It's yellow. I'm adding yellow to the. It's yellow. You see, it's not a problem at all. Okay, so you just overpower what's there, and you go ahead and paint. Okay, so don't be afraid of leaving color on the palette to give yourself the option, if you want to save materials and not throw away and waste a bunch of paint, which is really a shame, just leave it on the palette. And I'm gonna mute this a bit around the middle. Just leave it on the palette and you will find a use for it. I promise you. Even if you just do warm-up exercises of all of these I showed you, you know, you do a bunch of lines and a bunch of these kinds of things, you know, go for that if you that's what you want. But use this paint for something, and you'll find that you can use it for quite a bit. Again, if you're a little creative about it. So you see here, now I'm gonna make it a little blue, and again, I don't mind using so much burnt sienna here because I know I'll have use for it. I'm gonna use it, okay? I'm gonna use it for a future painting, so I'm not worried about that. I'm gonna let it dry on my palette with all the yellow and all of these weird colors. I'm gonna let them dry, and I'm gonna have use for them in the future. Look at this messy little, I don't know what it is, cathedral or something like that. I'm gonna cool it off around the right side, and you see you can always just overpower whatever mix is there and get the beautiful color you're after. Now if you feel lazy or you don't want to do it this way, you know, find your own way, sure. I mean, nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying what works for me, and this is definitely something that works for me. Okay, so you have two options basically. You can use what you have here as a basis and then vary the grays, or you can overpower the mix and lead it towards the direction you want. And then you can do these lovely little doodles and sketches, and it's gonna look beautiful. This is, yeah, I hope it looks like something. But yeah, you can do these lovely doodles and use the paint you already have, not waste it, and get a more organic and natural feeling. I hope that makes sense. With that, let's wrap it up. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed this quick demo and just the explanation of why this can be beneficial. And again, obviously, I'm gonna hedge what I say, and this is my way of doing things. This is what I love. This is what I enjoy. I love these kind of muted, you know, results. I love varying the grays. I love working with the mix I have and starting from a gray and gradually increasing the saturation at times. So this is what works for me. If you're worried about getting a very saturated color, a very pure color, or you have a special painting that requires it, go for that. Do that. Do you. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to learn how to paint like me, be sure to check out my frustration-free watercolor course, link in the description box below. Plus, leave a like if you enjoyed this video and a comment. It really helps me know what works and also get the video in front of more people. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again in the next one real soon.